What jobs do you think would be the first to go? There is evidence that jobs are already being taken.
And if it can do my job, it can soon be doing everyone else's job.
People are getting their CVs rejected from companies, like by LLMs. Like they're not even getting to speak to a human anymore. Like it is affecting people's lives.
It's call center work, it's supermarket work, but it's also eventually, if not already, going to be professional work too. So it's going to affect everybody. It's a cross-class issue.
I'm worried about mass unemployment. I'm worrying about, my friends used to call it genetic Nintendo. Some person who knows nothing about making gene therapy suddenly creating, a pathogen in their house. And I'm really worried about things like that.
Are all our jobs going to be taken by AI? Isabel Loubser spoke to campaigners who want to press pause. Right, how do you unplug me?
How not good is it going to turn out?
Bad, with one proviso. Bad as in kill you and your kids and every single person you've ever met or thought about, literally. With the one proviso that if we get together in this really short period of time and get regulation to happen and get sensible governance to say, hey, these companies shouldn't just run roughshod, but they should be able to literally have the same sort of regulation, a meat packer has or a hairdresser or something like that. Right now, there's essentially no regulation. And even the thing we were protesting today, which is Google DeepMind reneging on the promise they made a year ago in Seoul at the AI summit, we want real regulation to slow down and to make safety our priority.
So how frightened should people really be?
Well, I would not want people to be frightened because, it's not nice to feel frightened. But I feel if nothing is done about it, you should be very frightened. If something is not done about it, which I believe is the default path, because I think it's not in anyone's interest to have this technology be built, we don't know how to control it, and if anyone builds it, everyone is going to die. That is an incredibly likely scenario. So I think...
How are people going to die? Can you explain that a little bit?
I don't know exactly. Just in the same way that an ant doesn't know how I am going to kill it when it's in my house and I use some ant poison. Because ants don't understand what ant poison is because we are thousands of times more intelligent than they are. If we create something that's thousands of times more intelligent than we are, then we're not going to understand the things it does. Now, it's unlikely that it's going to hate us. It's going to want humanity to suffer or die. Instilling those kinds of values is just as difficult as instilling the values of loving humans and wanting them to flourish. But it will have some goal, some random goal that we can't currently ensure what it is. And it will want resources, it will want power, and it will take up resources, it will want to gain more power, and we are in the way. Just as when we want to build a house where there's an ant's nest, we don't ask the ants permission, we just build the house and kill all the ants.
How scared I am? What is my... how scared I am? I think the change that it's going in the good direction, it's like 75 to 80%.
Okay,
I tend to be a bit more optimistic than people here, I think. But anyway, even if it was 99% chance that there is no problem, you would not take a plane if somebody was saying yes, but there is a small chance that this plane is going to crash. And here, nobody has a choice at the moment.
What made you think, it's 30-degree heat and I'm going to make my way down to the Google DeepMind offices?
Well, because that's all kind of like insignificant where you think about what's at stake. We're talking about literally the death of every human on the earth. Not figuratively, literally everyone dying.
I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of fear, and I think that fear can span many, many things. Like there's several people here that are really worried about loss of control. In fact, I'd say most people. But I think everybody can have something to fear in unregulated AI because it's going to radically shift the labour market, it jeopardizes your privacy, it compromises your vote, it's already being used in warfare. So I think there are many, many reasons to want to regulate AI.
Bioweapons, illnesses like the pandemics, engineered pandemics is a thing that's thrown around. It could be put in charge of nuclear weapon systems, potentially.
Even if there's a really small chance of this being possible, it's like you should really be taking this into account. If all these people who are at the top of these tech companies have been saying for years that this is something really dangerous and then suddenly now are shutting up about it, when it's getting in the way of their interests. I think it's something that we should kind of have a look at and start thinking about. And we shouldn't just be discarding like all this AI technology as being like all just bollocks and never going to work, etc. Like we don't know what's going to happen, so we should be really thinking about like what if it does go that way, you know?
I am majorly depressed, but and I've been coming to terms with the fact that the future that I thought would be the case, where I grow old and retire and have a family, might not be the case, and that's caused a massive internal shift, which has caused a deep depression in me, and that's happened over the last couple of months. Last month actually. I was about to buy a flat, and I've decided not to buy that flat until I can sort out my mental health. And part of it is taking some agency and coming here to protest and see if I can make just a tiny bit of difference.
I think, look, when you poll the public, if you ask them a question like, do you want AI companies to be allowed to quickly develop superhuman capabilities in AI? They say no. That's what the polling shows. But of course, when we're talking about politics in general, it's not the most salient topic yet. That is on the rise as more and more empirical evidence comes out of AI's capacity to blackmail people, to deceive, to rewrite the code it's running on to make sure it isn't replaced. These are all empirical results that we've seen come out recently. And as more of that comes out, as more events like today happen, I think this issue is going to become more salient in people's mind.
If I'm about to buy a flat and leverage my ability to work for 30 years, if my career is just ended, what does that mean to me? And then I thought, what does that mean to pretty much everyone else in that position?
How long do you think we have to make some form of intervention to stop things going the way they currently are?
I think we need to do that urgently. I think before the tech is developed, you should regulate, you should aim to intervene in the most malicious uses of it before it's released, because ultimately, whatever you're worried about, it's too late after the fact.
And stuff, it seems that it's often men who are more scared or worried or interested in the whole AI situation. I mean, is there any truth in that, and why do you think that is?
I mean, I think, okay, let me, if you don't mind, think for a second, because I don't think your observation's wrong. I think you can literally look over there. I think some of it is about the communities that talk about this the most, you know what I mean? Most of the people here, or at least a good proportion of them, have been involved in tech before. That's certainly not my background, but that tends to be the audience that starts off in this space. We are seeing gradually an increase in awareness from non-tech communities, but yeah, I think there's a lot of work there to do, both I think in the media, but also from us, we need to work on how we communicate so that we're accessing new groups, basically, because the issue is for everybody. But yeah, it does have a tendency towards one direction.
I don't trust any of them, to be honest.
Right, it looks like my job has been taken by AI. I'm off to the pub.